Welcome back to the channel, Truth Seekers. Today, we're diving into one of the most chilling chapters in American history, Project MKUltra. Imagine a secret CIA program that experimented on unwitting Americans with mind-altering drugs, hypnosis, and psychological torture, all in the name of controlling the human mind during the Cold War. This isn't science fiction, it's declassified fact. Over the next few minutes, we'll uncover how it started, what they did, the victims, and why it still haunts us today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more deep dives into hidden history. Let's get into it. To understand MKUltra, we have to go back to the early 1950s. The world was locked in the Cold War, and the US was terrified of Soviet brainwashing techniques. Remember those POWs from the Korean War coming home spouting communist propaganda? The CIA panicked, thinking the Reds had a secret weapon, mind control. Enter Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist with a clubfoot and a twisted genius for poisons. He became the poisoner-in-chief and spearheaded the project. On April 13, 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles greenlit MKUltra. The goal? Develop drugs and methods to manipulate minds for interrogation, assassinations, or even turning enemies into puppets. It built on earlier programs like Project Bluebird and Artichoke, which tested hypnosis and narcosis on Russian agents to induce amnesia. The CIA poured millions into this, buying the world's entire supply of LSD for $240,000 from Sandoz Labs in Switzerland. They even consulted Nazi doctors from Dachau who had experimented with mescaline on prisoners. Yeah, you heard that right. War criminals advising the US on mind control. This wasn't just theory. MKUltra had over 149 sub-projects across universities, hospitals, prisons, and even safehouses. And the scariest part? Most subjects had no idea they were guinea pigs. LSD was the star of the show. They dosed mental patients, prisoners, prostitutes, and even their own agents without consent. People who could not fight back, as one CIA memo coldly put it. In one sub-project at a San Francisco safehouse run by federal narcotics agent George Hunter White, they lured Johns with hookers, spiked their drinks with LSD, and watched the chaos through two-way mirrors while sipping martinis. White's 1952 diary entry, he bragged about these successful results, but it got darker. Dr. Ewan Cameron at Montreal's Allen Memorial Institute ran Sub-Project 68, funded by the CIA through front organizations. He used psychic driving. Patients were drugged with LSD, put into drug-induced comas for weeks, blasted with repetitive audio tapes for up to 16 hours a day, and zapped with electroshock therapy at 40 times normal voltage. The aim? Erase memories and reprogram personalities. One patient, Velma Orlikow, sued the CIA in the 1980s after her mind was shattered. She couldn't remember her own family. Hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and even radiation were tested. In Atlanta prisons, inmates got massive LSD doses to see if they could be turned into truth-tellers, or assassins. There were experiments on children too, though details are sparse. And get this, they even implanted electrodes in animals, like dogs controlled remotely via brain chips. The CIA wanted a Manchurian candidate, a sleeper agent triggered by a word. These weren't accidents. Gottlieb had a license to kill. No oversight from bosses like Richard Helms or Dulles. They requisitioned humans worldwide for fatal tests if needed, but things spiraled out of control fast. The most infamous casualty? Frank Olson, a CIA scientist. In 1953 at a retreat, Gottlieb spiked the drinks with LSD. Olson had a bad trip, hallucinations, paranoia. Days later he plunged from a 10th-floor hotel window in New York. The CIA called it suicide, but his family sued in 1975, uncovering the truth. President Ford apologized and they got a settlement. Olson's death exposed the human cost: broken lives, suicides, permanent psychosis. By 1973, as Watergate raged, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files shredded to bury the evidence. Most were destroyed, over 20,000 pages gone. But in 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request found a forgotten cache in a financial records center. That sparked Senate hearings led by Admiral Stansfield Turner, who admitted the horrors. The Church Committee in 1975 had already blown the lid off thanks to a New York Times expose. Victims like Cameron's patients sued and won settlements in the 1980s, but many stories are lost forever. This was the CIA at its most rogue, violating ethics, laws, and basic humanity. MKUltra officially ended in 1973, but its shadow lingers. Techniques from the 1963 Kubark Manual, inspired by MKUltra, were used in Vietnam, Latin America, and post-9/11 black sites like Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib. Author Stephen Kinzer calls it the blueprint for modern torture, and it's not ancient history. In December 2024, the National Security Archive released over 1,200 newly declassified docs, detailing more on Gottlieb's consultations, dog brain implants, and failed truth serums. Even in pop culture, it's everywhere, from Netflix's Wormwood on Olson to books like Poisoner in Chief. But questions remain. Did MKUltra really stop, or did it evolve? The ethics? Destroyed? It showed how far governments will go in the name of security. We've got laws now, like the 1976 executive order banning human experimentation without consent, but trust in institutions? Shattered.